Looking good, bro. Looking good. You
Sure.
on a victory Monday.
Oh yeah, you know the vibes. You know the vibes. I had to pull the jersey out just cause we beat them privates. We beat them privates.
The privates demoted. Okay. We demoted now. We gonna rank up in the future.
We all know what we talk about. The Cowboys beat the Washington Commanders as
We're
we
on a whole
should
nother podcast.
with our backup, man. Our backup. Dak not even playing, bro. You know what I'm saying? We just like that. We just like
Hey,
that, but
it's our franchise first time out here. We learning.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. But we ain't gonna get too much into that, y'all, because we are here to talk House of the Dragon. We are here to talk all things movies, TV, and film. And it's another one of them days, bro. This is episode 70, another milestone, another 10 podcasts in the books. So without further ado, man, welcome back to the Why I'm Geek show with your boy G and your boy ChrisyLite. Chris, say what's good to the people.
That's good. Hope y'all had a better weekend than me. I've been taking it rough. I think this week's gonna be rough, but one thing that I can always look forward to on Sunday that's not football is House of the Dragon.
Thanks.
So I'm glad I watched this week's episode of House of the Dragon because they really came out and killed it again.
Facts, literally killed it. So this week, I think the title is really of this episode is going to be drawing a line in the sand, basically. You know what I'm saying? Lines were drawn, literally.
A lot of stuff was happening in the sand, bro.
Facts.
A lot of stuff.
We gonna get to it. But first, started off, man. Team Black versus Team Green. It's the tables have kind of turned in a sense. Powers have shifted, funerals have happened, and it was one of the more interesting funerals that we done seen in this show and in Game of Thrones in general, just because it wasn't, I don't know how, it was a Valerian one. You know what I'm saying? It was by the sea, and we got to see all of the families, quote unquote families, bro, because they wasn't really acting like family, but everybody was there and just kind of to themselves, and it was just a very, very tense episode in general, but this scene for sure was very, very intense. So Chris, what was your first initial takes of just the funeral and what happened? Because for me, I was like, oh man, this is already going crazy.
So I was kind of sleepy. I was closing my eyes, blinking a couple times, just because the main thing I have with House of the Dragon is they love to get rid of these characters so quickly that to have this whole funeral, I just kind of wish I had more time with that character, so it felt heavier. I do agree with you. It was one of those heavy scenes, emotional scenes, and done pretty well. But it's just the fact that they move on from one character to the next so much that when this funeral scene started off, I was just like, all right. I don't really buy everyone's that sad. No, some of them weren't that sad for real.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I didn't get enough with that character to really connect with it. But how'd you feel about the beginning of this funeral?
I was hurt, bro, because I connected with her. I connected with Leana. I love Leana. And it was more so the loss, not just of the character, but just of the possibilities of what she could have done, which made me sad. But it was more so because we got to see how people grieved, because people grieved in different ways. We started off with her uncle, speaking in their native tongue and basically, saying a whole bunch of stuff. I can't repeat it just because I don't remember exactly what he was saying. But, during his whole speech, he was kind of throwing shade at her whole family, just because of the whole pure Valyrian blood, and even ended up making Daemon chuckle, which, I didn't take initially. I was just like, nah, he in shock. I tried to shoot my man some bail, but looking back at it, I was like, I don't know, that was kind of messed up. But the uncle was showing shade regardless. You know what I'm saying? But
I was gonna ask you, how do you feel about seeing all the uncles, the kids? This is 2 episodes in now, and we really are growing attached to these characters. Seeing them all at this funeral and seeing their interactions, what do you think?
I think it was very strange because it was more so like we are there, but we're not together. Like everybody's at least like 1 degree of separation, as far as like kinship or whatever, unless it's like, Corliss or in Viserys, but like everybody else is pretty much like cousins or aunts and
So
cousins, brother and stuff.
tight, so
Yeah,
close.
but everybody was like very separate,
Hmm.
like you had the high towers over here, you had the Viserys kids over here, you had um Rhaenyra's kids over here. You had, Daemon's kids over there. And it's like in the mix of that, you had the different houses of people, and everybody was just kind of looking at each other. So it was kind of eerie, but everybody was just like looking at how everybody else was looking. And I was like, bro, I don't know what's gonna happen, but this is very, very like tense. Like you could cut that joint with a knife,
Yeah,
you know.
awkward family tension going on in that beginning scene.
Yeah. But it led to some pretty good stuff from the kids, at least, because the kids, they absorb everything, obviously, so like they know what's going on, but the parents act like they don't know what's going on. So when Rhaenyra, saw that Damon's kids was just over there kind of by themselves, nobody's really consoling them, and like Damon's not even over there for real. The grandma was over there for just a little bit, but she didn't really, she wasn't really there. So she told my man's, I forgot his name, but the oldest son, go over there and just be there kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Offer your condolences. But he was like, man, I'm grieving too. And I was just like, dang. At first I was like, dang, he knew Leana like that. But I got reminded, it was like, no, it's because they just lost their father too. So it's like everybody's grieving, and those kids had their moment together, because it's like, yo, I feel where you coming from right now. You know what I'm saying? Because they could, like, the Strongs, like they couldn't even pull up to their dad's funeral because the whole bastard thing. So it was like, dang, that, like, at least you get to see your mom off type thing. But I'm just stuck at this point feeling like this. So they had that time to like kind of connect, and we see that play on a little bit later on in the episode. But other than them two, I mean, Aegon was over there just drinking up a storm, talking crazy to people, you know what I'm saying? Like playing the spoiled brat role to a T, you know? And it was one of those things I was like, okay, yeah. Like he gonna be vicious. I just know that.
This
I
is
just
how
know.
he is.
Yeah. But I mean, we see that man Otto for the first time again in a couple episodes. So how did you feel about, his presence? He didn't really do too much like in this initial part, but it was definitely present, and he had his pen back. So how did you feel about seeing that?
And when I saw the pin, I was like, okay, yep. Like you said in the last pod, okay, I see where we're going. I see how he weaseled his way back in. I kind of wish, just on a side thing,
Mm-hmm.
the other strong, I kind of wish he had more of an appearance in this episode, too. I know he had an appearance, but to see Otto back was really good because now we know they're gonna really be playing the game
Mm-hmm.
heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And once that other strong character comes back, whatever, Lyris, something like that, Lyris, or
Yeah.
whenever he's wiggles his way back into it, I think it's going to be really good to see him and Otto kind of go after, I know what your daughter did type thing. Like,
Yeah. I want to know what he wants. That's my main thing with him. Like, what does he really want? Because now he done got his whole inheritance. He got everything
yep.
from his dad and his brother. So he's still going to be looking for something from Alicent, and we don't really necessarily know what that would be. Because it doesn't feel like the scales are even at this point. It still feels like he is owed something, but he's still in service to her. So it's kind of weird how they set that up. But I agree. It was good to see Otto back in the mix, because I just like how he moves. Like he just moves like with no remorse. Like every step, is like, yo, I'm doing
And
this
in
for my
this
people.
episode, we see that, yeah, he was playing this Game of Thrones since the first episode. It kind of didn't seem like he was really maneuvering that much. He was like, "Oh yeah, go to the king, and then now we see for real. Yo, this dude was plotting since day one. Like, all right, I got me a daughter. Let me just wait till if something happened to the queen, move my daughter into place,
right,
and get our family on.
Right. Because if it wasn't for that, he was probably banking on Viserys having a son, and for them to Rhaenyra and Alicent to be close, it's just like a easy kind of option type thing, But Alicent got the bad hand in that. I mean, if we're looking from her perspective, but we ain't got to talk too much about that. I kind of wanted to talk about just the state of like the identity crisis that's just getting passed down, through all of these characters, because like I think Viserys is probably not Viserys, but Corlys is probably like the most forthright with it because of just his need to be on top. Like he just wants his family to be number one, and we see that with his interaction with his grandson, quote unquote grandson, because we know it's not his blood, but he's saying basically your brother is going to become king and you're going to be the one that's ruling here, but the kid's like, man, I ain't worried about that. Like and it's just, you can see like everybody, from Laenor to Rhaenyra to I think Leana had a pretty good idea of herself and what she wanted, but Daemon, Viserys, even like they all just have like this thing about them where it's like, man, like none of them are really their true self, at least in my opinion, like of who they really want to be. And it goes back to like understanding your circumstances, but like kind of just like not bowing down to them, but just like playing the game, like and it just ends up backfiring a lot, and we saw that a lot with Alicent. So how did you feel about that whole interaction between like just the parents and the kids this episode, like, and just kind of enforcing their dreams onto them, kind of?
I mean, I think you kind of have it that we see in this Game of Thrones type of thing that they're battling for the throne, but this is not even some people's motives. Like people are making this throne a bigger deal than what characters want. Like they're just like, oh, you kids, you guys don't really understand what's going on here. You want the throne. I'm gonna do everything for you to get the throne. And it's like, we just saw you as a kid. You didn't really care about the throne, like Alicent.
Right.
Like as she got older, she realized like the value of it, but she saw like how corrupt Rhaenyra was. And then Rhaenyra's like, oh no, these kids are legitimate. And it's like what Aegon said. Everybody knows. Like everybody, look at them. Look at them. So it's just like you can see these different characters, like what do they really want? But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what the Corlys said. Like history doesn't remember like blood; they remember names.
Right.
And that's kind of like coming across heavy. That like what's going on in the family doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, is a Targaryen on the throne at the end of the day? Is Aegon on the throne at the end of the day?
Right.
And it's like none of these kids really care about this throne. And we saw Alicent and Rhaenyra not really care about the throne until like Viserys was like, no, you are going to be the heir. Don't worry about it. Then she's like, oh, bet. Like,
but
then she still like goosed the bag.
Right.
So it's just like these adults, they now want the throne. They now realize how powerful it is. But these kids are just like, come on, I don't care. I really don't care.
Yeah. And you would think that, they would have prepared them better if this was their real goal, because I mean, like if we're talking just preparation, the Rhaenyra's kids really don't have none. I mean, they're kind of are just kids. Like, yes, they have dragons, but like other than that, there's no real thing that Rhaenyra is doing to prepare them to like take that seat, essentially. And it's because they can't really move in the bright of day, which is something I think that Alicent is definitely going to take advantage of now that everybody done seen, who she really is, and she doesn't have to put up not necessarily this front, but I'm just tired of how she just thinks her noble route is any better than what anybody else is doing, because she's still doing shady stuff, but it's more so like, the resentment that gets built up, and then like just them not, following the role, but at the same time it's like knowing like what they really want, and I'm starting to feel like I feel like Rhaenyra now knows what she wants, but I feel like Alicent still doesn't know exactly. Like the only thing she knows she wants is for her family to be safe, her kids to be good. But for her, like in her lifetime, it feels like she kind of just like passed over anything that she wants, and that's what led to her, mental break in this episode. So I'm still here like thinking about that, and how, Otto and his return like really kind of caused this mental break for her, just because of all the pressure that he put on her before he left. But how he didn't like at the same time like prepare, so I keep saying that, prepare them for this type of thing.
I kind of just feel like Alicent is just all these years she's held this resentment for Rhaenyra, the way she goes about her business when she's the heir to the throne, and she doesn't live by any of the rules or stuff that Alicent had to over those years. Being the queen, serving her duty, like she talks about that in the episode, how like all the stuff that she had to do, and it's just like Rhaenyra never did any of that, yet she's like, oh, how dare someone question the legitimacy of my kids? And it's just like, you're not doing any of the stuff that you're like claiming to be, yet you want to be on the throne type thing. And she's just kind of fed up with this. Not that she's not prepared. It's just kind of like, I've been doing all this. Aegon is actually the true king. We've always been moved right. We've never did anything wrong, yet you keep being you. You just want to do whatever you want. You just want to do the night.
Have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, you want to have your cake and eat it too, Rhaenyra. And Rhaenyra was just kind of saying, like, we all now can see how you are. Like, you're literally about to kill me and murder me.
Yeah.
Because you're mad. Because you're big mad.
Yeah. You've been big mad.
Yeah, you've been big mad because you're not me type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
So,
yeah.
Like, I get blaming Otto, but it's just kind of like, you knew what you had to do, what you were going to be doing for the rest of your life. And the king done told everybody she is the heir, and you're just realizing, dang, me following the rules has gotten us nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still feel like it still goes back to the fathers in all three of these situations, Corlys, Otto, and Viserys, because it's either their lack of not doing something or them just not like them passing like trauma on, essentially. And
I mean, I feel like Viserys is just constantly shows that he's a weak king. He just again, he's not a king that wants to be a conqueror or make the hard decision. He just wants peace. I mean, again, another situation where the wife is like, I want an eye, and this dude is just like, hey, discussion over, nighty night. Like, come, like it refuses ever to make a hard decision in his life, and it just time and time again shows itself true. And it just showed that years later, it's built up all this resentment that there is just bad blood between all houses.
Yeah, and it's a time and place for things like that too. Cause I feel like Viserys is more so
not the Viserys.
Yeah, Viserys is more so trying to like get away from the crowd essentially, and maybe handle it outside of that.
He is not trying to handle nothing.
Yeah, I mean he
doesn't want to handle nothing. He's like, oh, don't even question their legitimacy. And then Aegon's over here sitting like, look at them. Everybody knows. Like, and even he knows, but he doesn't want any conflict. And it's crazy because years later, he's the same king. Like, this dude does not want to make any hard choices. And clearly, once he becomes Bones, we see how this wheel is just gonna go off the ramp.
Yeah, it's a setup for a disaster for sure. But before we get into that, man, we gotta talk about this long walk on the beach. I mean, after the funeral, I know we've been jumping around a little bit, but after the funeral, Rhaenyra and Daemon go for their walk, and this is kind of just, for me, it felt like it was just a plot point. Like it wasn't as big of a moment as you would think it would let up to be. Like the music made it seem like it was a big moment, but the actual the actual like moment, it just wasn't like, to me it was mild, and it was still very weird, but it's just like you just accept that Targaryen's going Targaryen, right? So you kind of like put that beside the point, but it's just like, man, like they didn't waste no time. You know what I'm saying? Like as soon as they see him, right after the funeral, and I'm like, bro, is there no line here? Like, there's no line that they won't cross, bruh. So
I mean, Rhaenyra been waiting for this. She ever since she got teased in episode 4, she been having one thing on her mind. That's been Daemon.
That's crazy work, bruh. That's crazy work. And I thought initially that when Aemon was sneaking around, I thought he was finna pull a what's his name? Brand. I thought he was gonna sneak up and see them two together.
Yeah. I did too. Too. When he was over that hill, I was like, this man gonna see.
Right. Cause I had no clue. I was like, bro, I was like, man, I don't even know where he's going at this point. Like, but once I started hearing like the breathing and stuff, I was like, oh no. I was like, he finally find the dragon again. I didn't think it was going to be what's his name? Vhagar, I think. Is it Vhagar? The big green one.
I think it's Vhagar. the big boy, the biggest of them all.
The oldest and the biggest dragon. I think that scene with him was just exactly what he needed, a confidence booster, but it turned him into a menace, turned him into a little Chucky. I think the actual scene of him like learning how to ride a dragon was very
Chucky.
Yeah, because he got he got his eyes sliced.
Oh, true.
So he kind of looked like Chucky a little bit.
You got to call him that from now on.
But yeah, so seeing a little Chucky, say hop up on the dragon and do that whole scene, I was like, okay, this is cool. Kind of ran a little long for me, but I was just more excited that like, okay, what's gonna happen when he land? Cause I know everybody done seen this jump. I didn't recognize it was nighttime. I was wondering why the screen looked like that, but I was just like, oh, this is just how it would look at night, But how'd you feel about that whole? I guess you could call it a heist,
Man, I didn't think this man was gonna live.
Me neither.
I was like, wow. And as soon as he got onto it, the first thing I thought was, this is what they're gonna fight about. I mean, I was wrong about that, but them dragons are kind of like a one-person thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as he did that, I was like, does this mean like it's his? And it did. Like I was like, this sneaky little kid, he's gonna start a whole war because he wanted to steal a dragon.
Right.
So
he had dragons on his mind. That's all he was worried about.
He got bullied. Bro. He got bullied into it. He was bullied so hard with his little piggy with wings that he was like, I'm gonna go after the biggest boy of them all.
Right.
So
and he got him too. He kind of catch them all. But I was more so like surprised that like in just how quickly the dragon was able to move on. Like, how does that really work? Because we seen how quick Jon Snow was able to ride. I forgot the name of that one, but he was able to
smell
pick
the Targaryen on you,
right?
Valerian blood, whatever.
Right, and he knew all of the words and stuff that he needed to like tell him to go fly and all this other stuff, right? So he's did all the work, but I was just more surprised to see how quickly a dragon can move on, and now it's just his. Like if anybody else pull up on him, because like who else gonna pull up on him like that, but after that, the kids got to scrapping. That man got jumped, bro. Aemon got jumped, rightfully so, because he was talking crazy after he got a dragon. Like he was puffed up, like he wasn't even the same person no more.
Yeah.
You know. So when they started scrapping, you know, I was like, man, this man Aemon got superhuman strength. He just pushed 3 kids off him so quick, and
easy.
Yeah,
he was handling one with just like a choke.
Yeah, you know, with the Jason choke, bro. I was like, yo,
stiff elbow. I was like, bro, this guy's unstoppable once he gets that dragon.
Right. So you know, you get the you get Daemon's kids and Rhaenyra's kids teaming up to fight one kid, and they win essentially. You know, because Lil Cuz was able to get the knife and slice him up real quick, but it was one of those things I was like, oh man, this is it. This is it, bro. Like this at this point in the episode, I was like, oh, 10 out of 10. Like,
yeah, I was getting good at that point. I was like,
I was like, man, I looked at the time. I was like, yo, we still got like a lot left in this episode, man. Because I wasn't like we've seen the images of Rhaenyra and Alicent like fighting or whatever, essentially since the beginning of the show. Like that was one of the main things that they was showing. As far as like, you know, branding wise or whatever, to say, just give us a time, not the timeline, but kind of like a storyline of where we're gonna go. So being able to see, we talked about a little bit earlier, being able to see this whole argument of like an eye for an eye, you know. But Aemon was like, "Hey, I gained a dragon off this. This is plenty. This is plenty." Like, you know, that line was hard.
Whatever's in his cup,
yeah,
bro. That was some strong stuff because he was acting so different, and when he said that line, I was like, "This is a new man right here. He done aged up. He aged up."
I said, "Man, Aegon better watch out. He better watch out, bro, because not only he got the biggest dragon, but now he got this swagger about him and this scar that's going to look even crazier once he gets healed up. You know, once he gets older. So I'm super excited for this last time skip for this season." Just to see, you know, who our main cast is going to end up being. But, you know, this was one of those parts of the episode where I was like, bro, like, yo, I don't know how you make this any better, honestly. Like, because you could see the lines starting to be drawn throughout it, you know, when Alicent and Rhaenyra are both giving her little monologues along with like Viserys trying to mediate in the middle. So how did you feel about that part? Because I was like, bro, this is peak fiction right here, or whatever the right word is.
Fantasy,
yeah.
Like I was kind of with you when that fight scene started. I was like, we're getting real good because within an episode, we already have these kids conflicts and we can kind of see how they're going to grow up and not like each other, who's like with who, you know, we can kind of see the connection growing just from one episode, just from one funeral and the death of, what's her name? Leana. And even the eye for an eye thing, like this dude lost his eye and was just like, I got a dragon. So it's like immediately, this man a dog. This man gonna be a true villain when he grows up. Because he did not seem like that. He just seemed like the bullied kid. The previous episode. So it's just like, wow, I can already see the character development from him. I mean, I already called Aegon the Wild Boy because he just don't care at all about the throne.
Right.
And who the rumors start from. I mean, come on, look at them.
Right.
These kids actually made the show extra spicy just to lead up into the parents finally letting out all their frustration from this one fight that cost Aemon his eye.
Yeah. Because I feel like I mean the only kid we haven't talked about yet is their sister, who has some type of supernatural power. She could see into the future because she called it earlier in the episode. And I didn't catch that.
Oh, did she? On.
Yeah, because when she was like, when she was like messing with the spider or something like that, or no, not when she was messing with the spider. When she was playing with a dragon or something. It might not have been this episode, but it was an episode prior. She was talking to her mom, and her mom was like, "You will have a dragon," and then she was like, "He will have one eye." I was like, oh, I saw that later. I gotta check back to see
I
exactly
think
what
you're
it
right. I
was.
think you're right.
But she might have some type of supernatural power that we'll get to see later on. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Just because like with Alicent and Rhaenyra, their feud has been going on, since they were kids at this point. But I feel a little disconnected between Rhaenyra, old Rhaenyra, or young Rhaenyra and older Rhaenyra at this point. I feel like Alicent is like, what's the actress name? Olivia Cook
Something.
something. Um, I forgot what her name is, but I feel like
Olivia Cook.
Olivia Cook, she embodied Alicent, you know, in a way that had a smoother transition into the character she is now. Because I feel like it's easier to still feel that resentment and build on that as an I guess a trope, to really hold on to versus Rhaenyra's character who is like kind of, I don't want to say reserved, but you can tell like, after having the babies and stuff, like life then took a little toll on her essentially. And, because she has this cushion of being the heir to the throne, she's kind of taken that and like kind of been laid back a little bit. Right. And she was able to, you know, hold her hand with, and and Alicent showed her whole hand to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So because this secret is now not a secret no more, it's pretty much closed and shut. It's like, okay, now it's like, oh, who's on my side, who's on this side? Team Green versus Team Black. Who you really rocking with? And I'm excited to see how this plays out because, throughout this time, the way they shot the actual scene, it was like a little circle, and people started at different ends of the circle, but then eventually you saw the divide. I was like, bro, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing right here, bro. And it's funny seeing like and thinking about how they all entered the room because it's all happened after the fight, you know. But it was everybody was like asking where the parents were. The parents were on the beach. They was out doing their thing. They couldn't say that just yet. But everybody else is like, how could this happen? And everybody was having their little secret meetings and stuff like that. But it's like, bro, the kids gonna be kids. And you know what happened when your cousins link up. Somebody gonna fight. So it was a perfect like episode, bro. We got to get into the actual I guess because when you have a funeral you gotta have a wedding too. But before that we had the scheme. We had to draw up a plan because this man Laenor has been in his feelings since day one, rightfully so. But now he has not necessarily saw the error of his ways, but felt like he needed to do better, And the best way for him to do that was to essentially go away, and for them to show the strongest front, Rhaenyra and Daemon had to make this thing official. So how did you feel about the actual like plot or like finesse to get the ball rolling?
I kind of like the way they showed it I kind of like the way they showed it because it was more of like after the fight, they knew they're in trouble. They kind of knew the way we went about it all these years probably was wrong. My claim to the throne is as weak as it's ever been. And I don't know in her mind, why the heck did you believe it was going to be strong when you knew your babies ain't of his? Like, it just didn't make any sense.
I was happy to find out they tried, but
it's just like, you sound so stupid if you think you're going to have all these kids. They're not going to have their hair. They're not going to have the skin color. It's just Rhaenyra. You're not even thinking. So when she just poses this plan, like, me and you are fire, we're meant to be together type thing, but your husband's got to go. it was really cool. Like, oh man, they about to murder this man. This guy's gone.
I was like, no.
And then they show them hire the guy and is like, you know, we don't care about names. All we care about is gold. There's places that just care about gold. And then they show him in the halls, and boom, a fight breaks out. And all of a sudden, I'm gonna go get help. They come back. There's a dead body in the fire. I was like, Daemon is evil.
Yeah, because
this dude is.
Because before that, we saw him like take somebody out, right? We saw, and that was the body that ended up in the fireplace. I feel like they showed the story better than he told it, because it led up to a fire reveal. You know, because essentially what they was going to do, if you're not picking up what we're putting down, is that, you know, they were going to kill Laenor off, right? But pose it as like
but they don't
a
reveal
random
that.
assailant. Yeah, I'm saying it's going to be a random assailant so that they can end up getting married, right? So like the way they posed it was that, you know, Laenor didn't know anything that was happening, right? And we still don't know if he essentially knew, because it looked pretty convincing. You know?
He knew for sure. For sure.
But it was just one of those things. I was like, oh man, this is. I wish they would have just kind of said it, or like had a moment where it's like, come on, like we know what's good, you know. But it definitely led to, because I really thought he was done. I was like, ain't no way they just murked my man. And they had the fire reveal at the end where he took his hood off. He was bald headed, and it was off to sea.
And I like that, because my main problem with the show has been every episode they had to kill someone off. Like something had to happen to a character. And I'm just like, why? Like, why can't we just have good dialogue like we had the entire episode? And then all of a sudden at the end of this one, they're like, oh, we're going to kill him. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So then when he was burning in the fire pit, and they were like, how could this happen in my halls? I was like, I don't know. I don't know how this could happen in your halls. And then they showed the dude rolling off the boat, and then Laenor with takes off the hood, and he already cut off his locks and everything. And I'm like, thank you, because it kind of doesn't make sense. How did this assailant just get in?
Right.
You're just gonna murder him, dip out, like It's like, this is crazy. They're just killing people to kill people for that value of dang. And then nope. It was all a plan. He was probably in on it. That's how the dude got in. How else does he escape this? They all know the truth. You can't go back to your old life, because people, we just talked about this in front of everyone. Everyone knows. And the fact that they showed him bald-headed off the sea, I was like, great, because, you know, he can come back later, or the assailant can come back later, figure out what the true plan that happened. And now Daemon and Rhaenyra are married, and people won't think two things of it other than like, oh, okay, this makes more sense now.
Well, I mean, it was a secret wedding, so they're gonna that next entrance is gonna be vicious. I'm super excited for that.
Both the kids were there, so they know.
Right. But the kids, the Daemon kids was like, what are y'all doing? Like, I can't believe y'all just doing this right after this. So yeah, but it was a fire freaking reveal, bro. And I was like, bro, like comparing this to Alicent's plot, I'm like, hey man, this is Rhaenyra's kind of like that for even coming up with this type thing, you know? So they are definitely a force to be reckoned with. But now that the scales of power, as far as like, you know, nuclear power with the dragons have scaled, we still got to see who is going to inherit Laenor's dragon. The two boys got dragons now. Rhaenyra has a dragon. Daemon has a dragon. So firepower is pretty even because of just like access to the dragons now. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to get no more eggs at this point, regardless of how many kids Daemon and Rhaenyra might end up having after this. But you know, it's super exciting just to see like how things are shaking out, bro. Because this is my favorite. This is my favorite show right now, bro. Like every week.
It's a very good show, especially after this episode. Hands down, it is a very good show. I'm very glad. Of course, we're doing a time skip coming up, but still, this is definitely a show you can look forward to. And man, I mean, if you give me like a little slow episode, and you give me an episode of this level, it's some good stuff. All these characters are now starting to move.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time every Sunday.
Yeah. Especially because it's like, bro, like we got like 3 more episodes, I believe,
Yeah.
after this. So that means some big things are gonna have to essentially happen to set up next season. So, you know, finally be able to see the final cast. I'm super excited about that. And then just seeing like where things fall. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing right now. Just seeing how things shake out because, you know, they gonna have to become some warriors. You know what I'm saying? And I'm excited to see that, bro. But other than that, I think that's all we got on House of the Dragon this week. A little bit shorter of an episode.
Uh-huh.
I fell asleep watching Andor, so I don't got nothing about talk about that. She-Hulk was just, eh. You know,
I like the episode more, but it's
it was yeah, it was a little bit better. It was a little bit better, but it was still like I don't care nothing about this. But
real quick. She-Hulk.
mm,
That ending to that episode where they were like, "Oh no, he's bad." I was like,
yeah,
"Yeah, everyone can see this one a mile away." If you had
right,
this episode earlier,
right.
maybe we'd been like, "Oh, dang, he is bad." But
Mm-hmm.
no, you wasted so many episodes that, of course, the one good guy is bad because we know
Right,
how the show is. All right, that's
right.
it.
And if you don't know what you're talking about the boyfriend, or essentially,
Yeah.
yeah, the boyfriend. But yeah, I'm not gonna say I've lost hope, but my expectations now for these Disney Plus shows and just like the roadmap in general, it's just like I'm not going to expect too much. I'm just kind of like unless it's like a main character, like
Nah,
it's
they took L's on writing. It's bad.
yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place. But y'all been going crazy on YouTube and on the clips and stuff. So we appreciate y'all. We done got some new members of the Geeked family, bro. So shout out to y'all and all the comments. Y'all going crazy in the comments as well. So we appreciate that. We're gonna keep this content coming out to you guys. I was a little sick over the weekend, so I didn't get a chance to upload, but we got a whole lot of videos still to upload, thumbnails to make, and then we got this week's clips as well. So if y'all are enjoying that stuff, make sure to tune in, because you know not everybody could sit through
Potty.
a whole pot, you know. So it's just a potty is crazy. But but what's up, Chris? You got something?
What you geeked about this week?
Oh, so I'm geeked about One Piece. First off, I got a couple things I'm geeked about. I finished another arc in One Piece. I'm on Eni's lobby now. You know what I'm saying? Things are heating up. Things are heating up. And then also,
Ooh.
my boys got that dub. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna come on here every week talking about it, but when we beat, you know, them commanders. You know, I gotta show out, you know what I'm saying? Especially to repping my man's deck. Just because, you know, he gonna come back soon. But that man Rush going crazy. And then also I watched a new Netflix animated movie from Kid Cudi named Intergalactic, and it was really good. It was really good. It caught me by surprise. It was one of those things where I'm like, oh man, Netflix is kind of killing it right now. I mean, they got a lot of stuff going, but this was like one of those things that kind of like just fell in my lap. It just popped up, and I was like, that's something I like, you know. So if you like Enter the Spideyverse type animation styles, definitely check it out. And let me know what y'all think. I got a review coming for that soon. But other than that, I think that's it for me. Chris, what you geeked about, man?
It's spooky season yet again.
Oof.
I didn't get to see Smile, so I'm gonna go see it this week probably. But I saw Hocus Pocus 2, which was not the best movie. It was a little too kiddie and a little too boring. But I'm super geeked about this October, just going through a whole bunch of scary movies again.
Have fun with
Probably
that.
once every 2 nights. And one movie every 2 nights. And I really want to go through all the Halloween movies because the last Halloween, I can't remember what it's called. With
I understand,
It's like Halloween Final, I think.
I don't know
That
what it's
drops
called.
next week. So I got a lot of movies to watch before that one comes out because I haven't seen the last one. So.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that video of the kid dressed up as Michael Myers? And he falls down and he gets up exactly like Michael Myers.
Oh no!
I gotta send you that joint. I saw it on Twitter, bro. That joint had me weak. I was like it's. I've looked up Halloween before, but I've never like really watched it just because I don't do scary stuff.
It's a complicated.
It's a complicated history for sure.
That timeline goes crazy. Like there's like 3 movies in line, and there's like this alternate branch pathway, then another one, and then this one takes place. Like,
and then they come back and bring back.
And then
the
they
mama.
come back, and bring back the mom. So it's kind of like I know I haven't seen the last 2, and I want to see the new one in theaters. Okay. Probably not gonna like it, but I want to go through that timeline type thing.
I might go see that one. I ain't gonna count. I might go see that just because it's. I never went to go see it. I don't know. I might try some Halloween stuff. This
man just pops out the corner. Hey, look both ways this Halloween season.
I'm trying to be the best out here, so I gotta go see some scary stuff. But
hey, go see Smile.
Nah, not that one. Not that one. But that's gonna do it for us. For this week. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like the podcast, hit that like button on YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. And if you're enjoying this on your favorite audio platforms, be sure to hit that follow button, rate the podcast. It helps us out a lot. And we are gonna holler at y'all I almost had it. We gonna holler at y'all in the next episode of the Why I'm Geek Show, man. Y'all be easy, you know the vibes. Stay geek.
Later, y'all.